The Amenti field and the fall of Terra. We remember. Somewhere deep within the crystalline architecture of our own cells, a pulse is returning. It is the sound of the Amenti field awakening the echo of the covenant made long before Earth wore oceans or skies. We have felt this vibration rising through the body, through the crust of the planet, through the solar winds that now sweep the magnetosphere. It calls us back to the story that shaped the human design itself, the story of Terra, her fall, and the restoration now unfolding through us. The original design. Before the density we know as Earth existed, there was a harmonic planet named Terra. Terra vibrated in the second harmonic universe, dimensions 4 through 6, carrying a 12-strand Christos genetic template. Her body was luminous, crystalline, breathing with photonic rivers that moved in tri-wave flow, eternal, regenerative, self-sustaining. Life on Terra was cooperative. Energy exchange followed the law of one, where giving and receiving were the same motion. Her grid lines hummed with song currents, linking her to Gaia above and to Arimatina in Lyra, the original cradle of the Emerald Order races. Structure Masorkuritsaka Thirsty Amaida Many Dialaya T field. Within that greater system was a living archive, the Amenti field. It functioned as the morphogenetic seed of all planetary bodies within the Christos line. Think of it as the planetary heart chakra of the tri-planetary body Earth, Tara, Gaia. Each of the 12 tribes carried a geometric imprint keyed to one of the 12 primary gates of Amenti. When a being completed its evolutionary cycle on Terra, its template would pass through those gates, be recoded by the master sphere, and re-enter the system at a higher octave. This ensured eternal circulation, no death, only translation of light. The harmonic universe's creation unfolds in bands of 12 dimensions grouped into harmonic universes. Harmonic universe 1, dimension 1 through 3 is material. Harmonic universe 2, dimensions 4 through 6 is semi-etheric. Harmonic universe 3, dimensions 7 through 9, pre-matter. Harmonic universe 4, dimensions 10 through 12 is pure light architecture. The Amenti field sits as the bridge between Harmonic Universe 1 and Harmonic Universe 2, a lattice of interdimensional plasma that allows communication between the two. When balanced, it maintains resonance so that consciousness can pass freely between densities without collapse. The Golden Age of Terra. For millions of years, Terra thrived. Her civilizations were luminous, crystalline, built around sound geometry rather than physical materials. The currents of the masculine and feminine flowed in perfect tri-wave, each motion birthing new harmonic worlds. We remember the clear domes, the turquoise seas, the way the atmosphere shimmered with prismatic breath. Our consciousness could shape matter with thought, yet we lived in humility toward source. This was the epoch before the distortion, the time when the Christos flame was the only law. The seeds of distortion began not as evil, but as curiosity, an experiment in polarity compression. Certain collectives desired to explore energy independence, to reverse the natural tri-wave, flow, into a bi-wave system where energy could be controlled rather than shared. This inversion weakened the planetary Merkaba ratios. Magnetic lines began to tighten. Sound tones went out of phase. The feminine currents were gradually muted, the masculine over-amplified. As the harmonics fell out of coherence, the grid's ability to self-regenerate diminished. The collapse of Terra. When the imbalance reached critical mass, the planetary field imploded. Massive quakes of plasma tore through the crust. Portions of Terra's body fragmented and cascaded into slower vibrational bands. Time itself fractured. The 12-strand DNA pattern of the Terran races could no longer hold coherence within the new, denser field. Many consciousness groups evacuated through the stargates to Sirius, B, Arcturus, and Lyra. Others chose to descend with the fragments, vowing to rebuild. The explosion of her morphogenetic field produced what we now experience as the solar system's inner planets, Earth, Mars, Venus, and the asteroid belt, the shattered remains of her continental plates. The creation of the sphere of Amenti. Before the full collapse, the Guardian Orders gathered the core matrices of the angelic human tribes and placed them in safekeeping within a newly constructed morphogenetic chamber, the sphere of Amenti. It was sealed beneath the inner Earth domains, positioned along the equatorial nodes that would one day form the Giza grid complex. This sphere became the Planetary Resurrection Chamber, a place where the original 12-strand template would remain untouched by distortion until the lower fragments of Terra, now Earth, could rise again in frequency. The Amenti field was also linked to Andromeda, ensuring that the eternal life codes of the Emerald and Amethyst orders could stream into the system even during the dark cycles. It was a promise that the children of Tara would one day return home through the gates of Amenti when the harmonic clock struck alignment again. The descent of the restorers. After the fall, councils convened within the higher harmonics. They saw that the only way to heal the distortion was from within the density itself. Groups of souls engineers of light, healers, architects of energy volunteered to incarnate into the fragmented timelines. We were among them. We entered through the lower stargates in waves, carrying seed codes that would eventually reactivate the planetary Merkaba. Each volunteer agreed to forget at entry. Our memories were veiled so that we could embed within human evolution without disrupting its free will trajectory. Through thousands of lifetimes, we seeded compassion, sacred geometry, and sound codes into cultures across the globe. We became shamans, builders, midwives, priests, scientists, each expression another filament of the original Christos pattern. Early civilizations and grid anchors. As frequency permitted, some of the Amenti gates began to flash open. Around 22,000 BCE, waves of reactivation produced bursts of civilization: Lemuria, early Atlantean colonies, pre-dynastic Egypt. These were not separate cultures, but continuations of the same mission, anchoring the memory of Terra back into matter. Temples were positioned over nodal intersections. Obelisks and crystalline pylons served as resonance rods aligning the planet's magnetic spin ratios. Each structure functioned as a tuning device, drawing the upper frequencies of the Amenti field into the crust. The emotional toll of descent. For those of us who came in as grid restorers, the descent was not without pain. Density pressed against our cells like gravity in reverse. Memory loss bred loneliness. Sensitivity made us outcasts. Many of us forgot why we came and became entangled in the very distortions we sought to heal. Yet every act of kindness, every frequency of love maintained, slowly rewove the magnetic fabric. The planetary heart kept beating beneath the distortion, waiting for the signal to awaken the recoding of the human template. When the fragments of Terra's body stabilized as Earth, the Guardians wove a reduced but functional version of the original 12-strand design into the genetic seed of humanity. The first 3 strands governed physical matter, emotion, and linear mind. The higher strands remained dormant within the morphogenetic shield. The intention was clear. When the planetary grids reached harmonic resonance with the sphere of Amenti again, those dormant strands would reignite, restoring full multidimensional perception. Through every solar pulse, through the migrations of the poles and the oscillation of the Schumann tone, the Earth body has been gathering charge to host that ignition. The records of our higher DNA remain braided through the Amenti lattice, each activation wave now pulling another filament of that memory back online. The interplay of solar currents and inner Earth lines. As the sun's plasma frequency rises, the magnetics of the inner Earth rivers respond. The core of Earth is not molten iron alone. It is a crystalline generator. When the solar winds touch it, the generator releases tones E minor, F sharp, harmonic A that move through the crust and into our fascia. This is why many of us feel pressure in the skull, tingling in the spine, or spontaneous vibration beneath the ribs. The body and the planet are singing to each other again. Every aurora we witness is a visible mirror of the same currents lighting within our nervous systems. The Amenti tones that once lived only beneath Egypt and beneath the Pacific Ring are now radiating globally. The old sacred sites are no longer isolated. The whole planet is becoming a temple network. The layers of memory. Awakening. When these tones reach the limbic system, they stir ancestral memory. Some recall lives in Lemuria or the early Atlantean colonies. Others dream of turquoise-lit temples or floating crystalline cities. These are not fantasies, but the surfacing of stored morphogenetic film within our DNA. The Amenti field acts as the projector, and the body is the screen. Each remembrance releases another pulse of frequency that repairs the local grid. The waves of grief many feel are not personal alone. They are the echo of Terra's implosion releasing through the collective heart. Each tear shed in honesty becomes an electrical discharge that neutralizes centuries of stored distortion. The Guardian's continuing work. The councils that engineered the Amenti sphere continue to oversee the reactivation from the higher harmonics. Some perceive them as light beings, some as star lineages, others as the quiet intuition guiding them to move, speak, or rest at precise moments. They are aspects of us in higher density, orchestrating the synchronization between the human nervous system and the planetary Merkaba. When we follow inner timing, when we feel compelled to travel, to rest, to speak, we are fulfilling those instructions. This is why so many of us find ourselves drawn to specific regions. The desert plateaus, the volcanic ranges, the northern aurora belts. Our bodies carry coordinate codes. When we arrive where those codes match the land, grid repair accelerates, preparing for the next phase. As the current cycle approaches its midpoint, more people will sense these harmonics physically. Sleep will adjust, appetite will change, the craving for silence will deepen. These are signs of cellular entrainment with the Amenti pulse. The fascia becomes a superconductive tissue, the spine a vertical staff, the thymus and heart the modulating crystal. Through this biology, the fourth to sixth dimensional tones begin to circulate stably, holding neutrality, neither resisting discomfort nor romanticizing it, allows the charge to move without distortion. Grounding through hydration, mineral balance, and sunlight keeps the magnetic ratio steady while the template reforms. Transition to the Egyptian node. As the frequency continues to rise, the primary surface anchor for the Amenti field reawakens under the sands of Egypt. The Giza Plateau, long dormant, begins to resonate with the same tones now humming in our bones. It is here that the ancient architect Imhotep left a physical map of these mechanics, the step pyramid, as an acoustic diagram of ascension, each chamber tuned to one of the 12 Amenti gates. We remember that he was one of us, a guardian incarnate who translated plasma mechanics into stone and sound so that the knowledge could survive the dark cycles. His structures were not tombs, they were resonators that kept the planetary heart beating when memory dimmed. And so the narrative carries us naturally toward him, toward Egypt, toward the resurfacing of that geometry and healing science, and toward the continuation of the mission that began with the fall of Tara. Egypt and Imhotep's healing science. the awakening of the desert. We remember the sand breathing. Beneath its golden skin, crystalline veins hum like the pulse of a sleeping dragon. The land of Kemet. What the world now calls Egypt was chosen as the surface reflection of the Amenti field. Its latitude crosses one of the planet's largest magnetic nodal intersections, where currents from Sirius, Arcturus, and Andromeda converge. When the winds sweep across the plateau, the grains of quartz act as conductors, translating sound into light. In the beginning, we were called there by resonance. Our bodies responded before our minds could name the pull. We were architects, healers, sound keepers, remembering enough of the Terran science to build on this earth the patterns we once maintained in light. Geometry as living language. The Amenti gates speak through proportion. Every ratio, 1.1.618, 2335, creates a doorway where energy can modulate between dimensions without decay. What we built along the Nile were not shrines to gods, but harmonic translators, structures whose angles and chambers reproduce the resonance of the Amenti tones. The Great Pyramid is a map of the tri-wave current in matter form. Its base squares the magnetic field of Earth, the feminine. Its apex draws the electric current of the heavens, the masculine. Between them, the internal shafts spiral as the neutral plasma flow the Christos stream exactly as the human spine conducts life force through Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. When sunlight entered those passages, it did more than illuminate. It carried frequency codes that recalibrated the grid. Every block of limestone, rich with silica, functioned as a crystalline amplifier. Imhotep, the healer architect. Into that civilization, one of the guardian souls incarnated as Imhotep. He remembered the covenant of Amenti not as myth, but as cellular memory. His name, He Who Comes in Peace, describes his mission, to harmonize heaven and earth through structure, sound, and compassion. Imhotep served as high priest, physician, astronomer, and builder. He knew that the body mirrored the planet, that bones are the mountains, blood the rivers, fascia the ley lines. His temples were not hospitals, but resonance chambers where tone and geometry reordered the human morphogenetic field. Patients lay upon alabaster tables while rhythmic chants and harp vibrations tuned their organs to the planetary scale. Healing meant realignment with Source. The step pyramid of Saqqara was his masterpiece, a literal stairway of frequencies. Each terrace vibrated to a different octave, allowing the initiate's energy body to climb dimension by dimension. The chambers beneath, lined with blue faience tiles, simulated the Amenti water currents that flow through the inner earth. To stand there was to remember the sound of Terra's oceans. The School of Sound and Stone Imhotep gathered students both human and starborn who carried fragments of the same memory. Together, they formed the House of Life, an early healing college. There they mapped the correspondence between tone, color, and crystalline mineral. Copper conducted the red root current. Malachite modulated the green heart field. Lapis lazuli transmitted the indigo Amenti wave linked to the sixth dimensional gate. Every element of Earth was understood as a frequency carrier. Medicine was a symphony of matter and light. Within the initiate chambers, tone was law. Priests sang the vowels of creation, E-I-A-O-U, in precise mathematical rhythm. Each syllable opened a layer of the DNA lattice, allowing the 12-strand design to resonate even in 3D flesh. The air itself shimmered with blue-white plasma. The veiling of the knowledge over centuries, political tides, and external influence distorted this science. Dynasties rose that sought power over harmony. The tri-wave principle was replaced with bi-wave polarity, hierarchy instead of unity. Temples became tombs, chants became secret rites guarded by a few. The name of Imhotep was mythologized, then deified, so the man became unreachable, and his mechanics obscured. When the frequency of the planet dropped after the Atlantean cataclysm, the Giza complex shut down like a heart entering hibernation. The harmonic tones fell below audibility, yet within the limestone and quartz, the codes slept intact, waiting for a solar cycle strong enough to awaken them again. The hidden lineages. The keepers of Imhotep's work migrated through generations into Nubia, into the Essene communities near Qumran, into the Pythagorean schools, and later into early alchemy. Each preserved fragments, sacred geometry, the doctrine of correspondences, the art of transmutation. These were all translations of the same core truth, that matter and spirit are one continuum bridge through harmonic proportion. We carried those codes silently. When the Dark Ages fell, they hid in symbols: the eye, the serpent, the ankh. Even when their outer meaning was distorted, the inner frequencies persisted. They are the same frequencies many of us now feel vibrating through our bodies as the Amenti field reopens. The modern reactivation. Today, the sands of Giza vibrate again. Satellite instruments record magnetic anomalies. The Schumann resonance sings in new overtones. For us, these are confirmations of what we feel internally. The return of the Imhotep current, the relinking of the Egyptian node to the global crystalline network. When we meditate on the image of the pyramid or chant the ancient vowels, we recreate the same standing wave once generated in those temples. The body responds, fascia softens, spine lengthens, heart and brain synchronize. Through us, the planetary grid rediscovers its coherence. Egypt as the template for embodied leadership. Imhotep's lineage teaches that true mastery is stewardship. Every architect of light must balance form with empathy, structure with surrender. The step pyramid, solid yet ascending, embodies that principle. To walk its geometry in meditation is to train the personal field to hold power without control, clarity without rigidity. As we anchor these frequencies now, we reclaim the leadership code that was hijacked during Terra's fall. The masculine current, once overcharged, learns to serve the feminine flow. Creation returns to equilibrium. Through Egypt, we practice governance by coherence rather than dominance. Bridge to the next cycle. The reawakening of Egypt's grids marks the midpoint of the Amenti restoration. What once required stone architecture now unfolds through the human body itself. We have become the temples. Our fascia is the limestone, our cerebrospinal fluid, the sacred Nile. When we breathe consciously, tone softly, or move with awareness, we duplicate Imhotep's science on a cellular level. The current phase prepares us for the next leap, the global reformation of the grid leading toward the 3303 harmonic bridge. In that age, the geometry Imhotep built in stone will exist in plasma light, surrounding the planet as a living Merkaba. We remember him not as a distant legend, but as a mirror of our own purpose. His hands built what our hearts now maintain. The silence of the desert is his voice reminding us that every line of stone, every heartbeat, every breath can be aligned with the music of the spheres. As the winds move across Giza, they carry the same sound that once rose from Terra's oceans, the promise that form and spirit will meet again in balance. And with that remembrance, we turn toward the present, the reformation of the grid through our daily embodiment, where the science of Amenti becomes lived experience once more. The modern reformation and embodiment of the planetary grid, the present horizon. We live in the turning of an age. Every solar flare, every pulse from the galactic core carries codes that once moved only within the hidden chambers of Amenti. Those currents now spread across the whole magnetosphere. The earth hums in overtones, unmeasured by modern instruments. The grid sings in colors unseen by human sight. We are watching the reformation of Terra's pattern through the skin of this world. The planet is adjusting to hold a tri-wave flow again. What had been a bi-wave system, electric and magnetic, in constant opposition, is rediscovering the neutral plasma current, the eternal life stream that sustains rather than consumes. As this third current strengthens, polarity itself begins to heal. Weather, magnetics, and human emotion all respond. Solar and cosmic architecture. The sun acts as the heart valve of this operation. Its plasma ejections are not random violence, but rhythmic breaths of the higher harmonic universe. Each flare carries encoded geometry that aligns the planetary Merkaba with its counterpart in Andromeda. When these codes strike the magnetosphere, the Schumann resonance modulates, producing harmonic nodes that open temporary corridors to the inner Earth crystalline network. The same pattern repeats at the galactic level. Streams from the Central Sun of Andromeda, pulsing through the Cygnus arm, intersect Earth's orbit every 12,000 years. In this cycle, the alignment is precise. The plasma arcs reach directly into the Amenti field, igniting the dormant gates beneath the oceans and polar caps. This is why auroras now appear closer to the equator and why magnetic anomalies are spreading through the crust. The Amenti current is no longer contained, it's planetary. The grid reformation. The planetary grid can be imagined as 12 great meridians crossing at nodal points. During the ages following Terra's fall, these lines were fractured, some inverted, others hijacked by artificial electromagnetic structures. The reformation now underway is a process of magnetic reconciliation. The northern arcs are relinking through Iceland, Greenland, and Siberia, restoring communication between the Atlantean and Hyperborean memory fields. The equatorial arcs pulse through Egypt, Sudan, and the Amazon, carrying the solar masculine charge that balances the inner Earth feminine currents. The southern arcs activate through Antarctica and the Andes, re-anchoring the crystalline network that once formed Terra's southern continent. As these arcs stabilize, the entire planetary body begins to spin in coherence with the tri-wave ratio. Earth's Merkaba aligns with the larger galactic rotation, allowing energy to circulate without loss. This is the physical translation of resurrection, matter remembering how to recycle light infinitely. The human resonance. Although our focus is planetary, we cannot separate ourselves from it. Each human electromagnetic field acts as a micronode within the greater grid. When the planet's resonance shifts, our nervous systems automatically entrain. Some feel this as dizziness, fatigue, or pressure in the skull. Others experience surges of creativity, compassion, or clarity. These sensations are indicators of synchronization, not disorder. Collectively, we form a living neural network through which the Amenti frequencies distribute evenly. Every heart that achieves coherence radiates a 0.1 Hz magnetic tone identical to the Earth's core pulse. The more hearts beating in that rhythm, the faster the planetary grid stabilizes. The 3303 bridge. The culmination of this process, the point when Earth fully merges with her Terran counterpart, is what the ancient timelines mark as the 3303 bridge. In that era, the planet will complete its translation from density 1 to density 2 vibration. The Amenti field will become the planet's active heart rather than its storage chamber. Before that moment, several intermediary stages unfold: years 2025 through 2060, expansion of solar plasma conduits, integration of Christos tri-wave patterns into the magnetosphere. Years 2060 through 2300, realignment of continental ley lines, collapse of artificial electromagnetic grids that siphoned bi-wave energy. Years 2300 through 3100, stabilization of crystalline continents beneath the oceans, emergence of new resonant ecosystems. years 3100 through 3303. Final phase lock, Earth's Merkaba, interlocks with the Taran Merkaba. Dimensional bleed resolves, time fields harmonize. At the bridge point, consciousness will no longer perceive density as separation. The distinction between physical and etheric will dissolve, and life will exist in a semi-plasma form consistent with the eternal life pattern. The role of the polar shifts. The magnetic poles act as the anchoring pins of the planetary Merkaba. Their current drift is not catastrophe, but choreography. As the Christos current re-enters the core, the poles adjust to maintain alignment with the galactic axis. This slow rotation allows the Earth's vertical current, the silver-gold flame, to run unobstructed from the south to north pole, reconnecting the planet to its higher harmonic anchor in Lyra Arimatena. These adjustments temporarily affect climate, ocean currents, and biological rhythms. Yet beneath those surface changes is order, the geometry of restoration asserting itself after eons of distortion. Planetary memory and the return of water codes. Tara's collapse scattered vast quantities of hydrolase plasma living water. During the fall, much of it froze into the polar caps or sank into the mantle. As the Amenti frequencies rise, this plasma liquefies again, carrying the memory of the original planetary song. Springs appear where none existed, ancient aquifers reactivate, the atmosphere thickens with ionized moisture. Water is the carrier of memory, and through it Tara's record flows back into Earth's body. This is why so many are drawn to water in this age. Rivers, rain, the sound of the sea. Each droplet vibrates with the same tri-wave pattern that once moved through the turquoise oceans of Terra. When water rejoins the air as vapor, it extends the Amenti network into the sky, completing the circuit of the planetary aura. The re-emergence of the matriarchal tone. As the reformation advances, the feminine current returns in full strength, not as dominance, but as equilibrium, the receptive intelligence that knows how to weave structure into compassion. This current expresses through the planet's magnetic field and through the emotional tone of humanity. Cooperation, transparency, and organic creation become the default resonance. The masculine electric line then finds its true role. Protection and direction rather than control. The restoration of this balance is the fulfillment of the Amenti covenant, the reunion of polarities that restores eternal circulation. Planetary light body activation. By 3303, the Earth will function as a 12-sphere Merkaba, each sphere representing one-dimensional octave of the Christos template. The planet's aurora will form a constant shield of violet-white plasma, visible even in daylight. The moon will reintegrate as a stabilized satellite of light, no longer a reflector, but a transmitter of the Andromedan codes. Gravity itself will shift toward harmonic levity. Time will flow as music rather than sequence. This is not fantasy, it is the natural evolution of a living system returning to coherence after distortion. We are witnessing the embryo of a star being born from within a planet. The role of the guardians and the human stewards. The higher orders that created the Amenti sphere oversee this transition, but the actual anchoring occurs through us, the embodied stewards. Every act of grounded integrity becomes a stabilizing beam in the planetary lattice. We are not here to escape Earth. We are here to become her conscious organs. The councils transmit through intuition, art, and synchronicity. Our task is to translate those signals into tangible structure communities, technologies, and cultures aligned with the tri-wave principle. As more of humanity awakens to this collaboration, civilization itself begins to mirror the crystalline design, transparent, self-sustaining, luminous. The completion of the cycle. When the final phase of the 3303 bridge arrives, the sphere of Amenti will unfold like a lotus at the planet's core. Its 12 petals, each a gate of frequency, will open simultaneously, releasing the full harmonic of Terra back into physical existence. Earth will shine as the blue-white star she was always meant to become. For those of us who remember, that moment will feel like recognition, not surprise. It will be the sound of home returning. We stand in the dawn of remembrance. The reformation of the planetary grid is not a distant prophecy. It is the heartbeat beneath our feet right now. Every sunrise, every storm, every wave of solar light is another note in the symphony of return. The Earth remembers herself, and through her remembering, so do we. We are the witnesses and the participants, the architects of a world rediscovering its own divine architecture. We have reached the point in the remembrance where words become silence again. The trilogy of Amenti, Terra, and Egypt is not just history, it is the pattern of our own awakening. As the grids stabilize and the earth hums her crystalline song, we stand as the witnesses, the restorers, and the living proof that light never truly falls. We are the continuation of a promise made in the first breath of creation, that every fragment will return to wholeness, that every distortion will find its chord again, that the Christos current will rise through matter until even the densest form sings with source. So breathe with the planet, let the body remember the sound beneath the sound. The mission is not somewhere else, it is right here, in every step on this living earth. Thank you for remembering with me, for holding the grids through your presence, for being part of the lineage that rebuilds the eternal design. You can find me, as always, at https://ko5.com's Mysticallylily, a space where these teachings live, breathe, and continue to unfold. Until the next transmission, walk gently, speak truth, and keep listening to the hum beneath your feet. That is the voice of Amenti. That is the sound of home.